another edition of What the Fuck happening to the YouTube atheist community and Google Plus conversation. It really was pretty much conversation last night. Yeah, Logic rolls the dice guy and some sub DNA and old fan at the end and something in the middle. Hazy. So anyways, yeah, it moved right along. One little half hour of spam people and such, and started off a little bit slow, but once we got to the first hour or so, it started to move along. So perfectly adequate in terms of conversation about how to make the conversation. I think I'll probably make a video about that. There's a couple of videos. They're all some chick, whatever, Melissa Carpet or something, or whatever her name is, and then Hofladay's just on another planet, and then Antikantavad is doing his rubbish about traditionalizing philosophy, which I just think is idiotic anyway. Philosophy, especially philosophies built on science, tend to be evolving. They're not traditional. They're not. You don't call them something like Western. That's just such a bogus cop-out. But anyway, I mean, obviously there's before Darwin and after Darwin. It's a pretty dramatic knowledge-based revolution. And you could even say Freud might be part of that too, in the sense of understanding humans as being completely caught up in chasing their own tail psychologically. So, these are huge. There's not signposts, they're plateaus, in the evolution of thought and understanding. And, these people are just, and he left some comment about it. He said, I love watching fanatics argue with fanatics, and it's just so funny because he is such a fanatic. I mean, he's fanatically wishy-washy, fanatically indecisive, fanatically living the lie as if there isn't a truth here, and you're either part of a progressive future, something that has some hope of getting it right, or you're part of an ancient, ignorant past that has no hope of getting it right. It's not that complicated. Speaking of which is the whole physics thing. I did make a couple of good physics videos. I think they were good. And I'm going to make another one on just some of the general subjects. Hofladay's not really participating much in terms of, he's posting clips of Feynman and some other guy. But this other guy, whatever, I can't remember his name, he's more of an electric guy than a physics guy. But anyway, he's retired now, I think, too. He's pretty old. Anyway, it was demonstrated, frequency and motions, and it's a very interesting, this idea of the idea that they connected waves to anything with a frequency. And anything with a frequency, when it impacts a medium, will create waves, and it's just, that's the dynamic, though. There has to be a medium. There has to be things tied together by tension. You can only have waves in a medium that has tension. And nobody says that. They don't. They just pretend there's waves all over the place in all kinds of places doing all kinds of things. So anyway, really is pretending. But again, we're still in process, you could say, the human race, in terms of finding the truth. But I'm just still argue that even though there's I think they have some wrong answers regarding physics. Let's say they get it right and they figure out that a good model, and the model just basically says, yeah, it's just a physical dynamic. Who knows how it was initiated, but it exists. And the fact is that it's very improbable for it to turn into things like this. And that's just the truth. But it can, and it only did through a process of evolution. And evolution is a dismal and horrific, stupid process that destroys 1,000 to make a 1. And to do what? To say I win, fuck the bitch, and die. I mean, it's it's just on its face, it's stupid, and our psychology is so viscerally selfish as a byproduct of that crudeness, and there's just nothing to say. Oh, gee, that's so comforting, and it's so that just gives me such incentive to participate in a psychological, moronic banana chase game, and that's all it is. So anyway, I'll make a video on it. I'll just say some more shit like that because it's just a joke. We have the knowledge, and everybody's just running away from it. They're running to their quantum magic. They're running to their ancient notions of voodoo and superstition. There's got to be magic somewhere. Yeah. They're chasing leprechauns. They're still living in a fable reality, of some sort of happily ever after, or progress ever after. Like they're just somehow going to progress themselves out of this morass, and it's just so obvious that doesn't work. We couldn't be in more of a morass in terms of how much medication the average human life form needs, to get from point A to B. They just ought to rename it, point B to point D, birth to death. And it's just a silly psychological game we play of wanty, want, chase, chase, die, die. And it's just, people who don't want to accept that reality, and they just desperately cling to any kind of made-up fairy tale to try to make the condensation that we are, the mold. We're just a growth, a malignant growth in the mechanics of the system. We're just rust, a form of corrosion on the surface of one particular planet. That's the reality. This consciousness doesn't go anywhere, and while it's here, it just plays a frustrating game of I need more. It's pathetic. It's pathetic that people don't have enough humility to sit there and look at the horror, just even think about all the lives ground up every day, all the sentient organisms squeaking in horror, and just glibly march through it, put on their blood boots, and go for a stroll through it with some sort of arrogant and proud flag, human. I'm carrying the human flag. It's just pathetic. Most people are just pathetically, I'd like to say they're, ignorant almost sounds like, oh, that's an accident. Ignorance almost sounds like something you get in accidentally. But these people are pathetically, deliberately evasive to the truth. They are doing it, and people like Anacondavat are doing it right out there in the open. They're saying, what's in it for me? That's how you decide what's true. You say, what's in it for me? And if there's nothing in it for you, it's not true. You just can't get, like I said, how much more pathetic can an intellect get? It would be an insult to call it an intellect when it has no respect for intelligence, when it has no respect for facts and information, and just says, if I don't like the truth, I'll just make up something different. You can't even call that an intellect, because it defies the definition. It's an antonym to the definition of intelligence. Intelligence don't do that. Okay. So, just moving along, plugging away. So, I should have said in the beginning of the video, where more people are listening, that the 6th episode of Vlogerdome is now ready for viewing. It's if you saw my debate with McFish Fry or whatever his name was. It's basically just another version of that because the first version failed, so then I did a second version. So it's basically the same interview or video exchange or whatever you want to call that, response video. And then it has some Glenos in it, it has some Vox Nerudi in it, and the usual characters. So I think it makes the point. It's not too bad, but yeah, we do have to do better. But it's only six episodes old. What do you want? It's only 6 episodes old. So yeah, The Simpsons was pretty lame. In the 6th episode, it was still pretty lame. It was drawn even worse, and it was pretty bad. So a few more episodes, we'll get going. Maybe that's wishful. Maybe that's being non-intellectual, because it seems like all the evidence points right at the moment to continued failure for a while. Yeah, but we'll see. I will try to prioritize and devote the necessary and required amount of time to the project. But I just have way too many things I'm messing with right now. I'm playing a piano with way too many keys. Just way too many. And so it all comes out like crap because I can't hit all the keys I need to hit to make this a song. And knowing that, I should be obligated to change. That would be the rational thing to do, but for the moment I just don't have any. I'm chasing keys. I'm too busy chasing the keys to be able to stop and start over, and sort of need a reboot, and I just don't want to do it because my operating system takes a long time to fire back up. And you never know. Maybe it won't start at all. It's one of those, like when you had an iffy car, if you ever had like a $100 car, and you never really, if you had to go to the store or something, you just left it run in, run out because you just weren't sure it was going to start when you came back. I have that sense. But it's just a sense. It's just some silly notion, and it may just be an excuse. I have a fondness for excuses at the moment and make them regularly, and I seem comfortable with that, which is probably I need to work on feeling comfortable about making excuses also. So anyway, this is just some evidence of this is what psychology does to us. It turns us into bullshitters, and everybody should just acknowledge that and quit being assholes. And again, if you got to be clear. I mean, I'm arguing from the fail-safe point of view. It's clear we're just not capable of doing this. This is too precious a thing for fucking monkeys to be managing, this consciousness thing. And you're the asshole saying I can do it. And there's just no evidence that you can get past even small psychological barriers. I mean, you can't jump 4 inches high, and you're saying you can run the high hurdles. Again, you haven't even died yet, and you're pro-life. How can you do that, honestly? I mean, how can you tell somebody it's okay, dying's okay? It's no big deal when you haven't even done it. Amazing. It really is amazing. So anyway, that's enough. So, till the next time, and such, where I will do more of the same. But I mean, it's just, I just have to do it better. I have to do more of this writing thing, consolidate things, make traps where people just can't escape the trap. They can't change the subject. They can't fuck around. They have to answer a direct question. As soon as they don't answer the direct question, you can just point your finger and say, lying scum, evasive motherfucker, and just be done with this nonsense, this this trolley nonsense of cliches and crapola as a response. I can't even, everything comes out of people's mouths. It's just such a pile of shit. You're just saying, how can they say that shit? Till next time. So, had a little extra light. We'll see if that helps any. Turn the light off now. But this is the usual state. And we put the good light on when I have a special occasion.